What I thought I would do is go over basically the most important upgrades to any sort of RTR vehicle to turn it into a race vehicle. So there are a large number of vehicles out there that you can buy that come in a ready-to-run format. A lot of them are actually based on race vehicles, but they're not exactly the same. So I thought I would cover the upgrades I did to my example here, the HPI Vorza 3.5 Nitro Buggy. So this might be a little bit different from depending on what actual car you're actually driving, but I think a lot of these upgrades will make sense and hopefully help you make you a little more competitive if you want to try to race an RTR vehicle. Nothing wrong with that. You know, these are definitely a lot cheaper than similarly priced kits. So, you know, like this is based off the HPA Racing Race Buggy, and they basically made a ready-run version for about half the price. So definitely a more effective way to get into the racing scene. But yeah, we'll kind of go through these one by one. First, most important thing to do is definitely get the right tires for the track you're going to be running at. So if you got a carpet track, make sure you get carpet tires. If you're at an outdoor 8-scale dirt track, make sure you get the right tires for your particular track. In my opinion, in my case, it happened to be the J Concepts Reflex tires. So these, in my opinion, hook up the best at my local track. But you know, depending where you're at, maybe you want to run whole shots or stalkers or who knows what race tires work best. That's why they make 100 different race tires, because there are 100 different environments you could be in to get that. But your car's not going to handle well, it's not going to drive well, it's not going to have any traction unless you have the right tires, and you can't really get around that. So definitely get the right tires. Just look at, you know, whatever the fast guys are running, throw those on, and then, you know, unless there's some weird reason why you feel like you need to change, that would be a good place to start. So that's the most important thing. Second most important thing for something like this is the servo. So the stock servos on RTRs tend to be super slow, fairly weak. Sometimes they break easily. In my case, I'm running a Savax 2274 SG Black Edition. Very, very nice servo. I think this is great for 8-scale, especially on the steering side. It's very fast. I think it's like 0.08 seconds. Can handle the power, the torque, the speed, everything that you want, even the crashing. It is a very durable, nice 8-scale servo. So definitely a fast servo will just allow you to actually drive the vehicle a lot better, because you're not waiting for the servo to catch up. You will make corrections more easily. That definitely is a massive improvement. This is for about 120 bucks for the orange edition, but you can get the black edition for a few bucks more. I'll have links in the description below where you can pick one of those up. Very, very important upgrade, I think. Definitely a radio also will help as well. I've got this as an example of FlySky FSG 11P. Pretty decent little radio for not that much. I think it's about 140 bucks at the time of this video, which is pretty cheap for something like that. Really nice interface, has all the adjustments you might want for your vehicle, just to set endpoints, set the expo the way you'd want, maybe even servo speed. Like this is extremely fast servo. I don't think I even need it that fast. You can slow down the servo a little bit. Just a lot of adjustments to actually make the car easier to drive when you got it set up. I don't think necessarily you need a new motor and ESC depending on your vehicle. Most RTRs actually have pretty decent, at least fast-wise, speed-wise, they're going to be more than enough. This particular vehicle is a Nitro. It's got the Force 3.5 cc engine. It's not the fastest. I did definitely have to gear it up and had issues basically clearing all those jumps. But yeah, in this particular case, maybe a higher revving motor would actually make a pretty significant difference. But for most electric vehicles, you could get by with a stock motor and ESC. It won't be censored. It'll probably not be quite as precise. You won't have as many adjustments, but you know, it's usually enough to get by. I wouldn't say that's the most important upgrade. On an 8-scale RTR buggy like this, the chassis is going to be another weak point. So the reason they're able to make these a lot cheaper is because they come with lower quality metals. In this particular case, I got the kit chassis 7075, much stronger. The stock chassis looks like this, and as you can see, it's no longer straight, it's bent. These are very low quality stamped pieces, so definitely a chassis is going to be a welcome upgrade on any sort of RTR based race vehicle. Front shock tower is also really nice on a buggy because there's no protection, there's no covering, no body, anything covering the front shock tower. So I also upgraded to 7075 kit piece. That's a lot nicer. That actually comes from the Vorza S edition. Rear shock tower usually is not going to take that much damage on a buggy because it's not exposed. You got the body, you got the wing, everything kind of protecting that. So I don't think that's a necessary upgrade. You can always do that just for a little more bling, make it matching and stuff like that. But I think that's kind of an optional thing and not necessarily necessary. Then you also got the shock. So Definitely at a minimum get the right springs, get the right shock oils just to get the proper suspension. Aluminum shocks like this, sort of the kit pieces, are nice. They tend to be smoother, allow the buggy to basically absorb the bumps and jumps and stuff a lot better and less stiction. So that's the number one difference in my opinion between an aluminum shock versus a plastic or composite shock. It's just going to be a lot smoother action and allow it to kind of roll and not get as upset over those bumps and little ruts and stuff like that. So I don't necessarily think you need to get aluminum shocks. That is an upgrade. Another upgrade which I have not made yet is adjustable links. So the camber, the steering links, the rear camber, those are all non-adjustable with this particular kit. They're just composite pieces. I think going with the aluminum, the metal with the rod end style is going to be a lot better because you'll be able to fine tune the buggy to get to drive exactly how you want. Those things are definitely on the tuning side, just like the springs, shock oils, all that kind of thing. You do want to get the buggy or the vehicle driving exactly how you want. So it's going to depend track to track. You can't just say every setup is going to be exactly the same. And being able to fine tune it to exactly how you like the vehicle to drive is super important. Last thing on this particular kit, I did go with the aluminum hard anodized 7075 ABCD blocks because the stock pieces were composite. So yeah, that's also a welcome upgrade. Not every vehicle is going to need that, but certainly a lot of RTR vehicles come with composite hinge pin braces. And if you don't have those aluminum ones, yeah, that can be a weak point definitely where you can break things. The rest of the buggy, the arms, hinge pins, everything, I think are pretty much the same between kit and RTR version. So I don't think you need to upgrade them, but certainly definitely a lot of vehicles come with composite hinge pin braces when they really do need aluminum ones. So anyways, there's a quick look at upgrades for your vehicle. Not a lot of other things that I think are strictly necessary. This will get you something really close, I think reasonably competitive. I was driving this at the track, so I'll share some running footage. I definitely am not as competitive. I don't run a lot of A-scale or nitro, and definitely this engine didn't have the revs to clear a lot of the jumps, or it's very difficult at least. So anyways, enjoy this running footage. If you have any thoughts or comments about converting an RTR into a race vehicle, let me know. Any tips that you might have. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Look forward to more videos soon. Thanks for watching.